Ladies and gentlemen, when France has been chosen to host the next conference in 2015, I must admit that we were the only candidate. And after this choice, a series of colleagues came to me, and their very short speeches were quite alike. A, congratulations. B, condolences. And, well, we shall make our best. I don't know if we have to twist something, but we shall make all our possible in order to be efficient, because the challenge is very, very important. First, let me thank you for inviting me today, congratulate the Climate Group for its magnificent action, and the Carbon Disclosure Project for enlisting businesses in the fight against climate change. To tell the truth, I don't use the word climate change. I think the accurate expression is more climate disruption, because it's what it is about. And I shall focus my remarks on our vision, maybe it's a bit ambitious, as the future chair of the so-called COP21 after COP20, which will be hosted this December by our friends of Peru. It has been said very eloquently before me that climate disruption is not only a global threat, but an urgent threat. We must explain that it is not a menace in 50 years or 100 years, because at that time many of us will be in a difficult position, but it's if we are in a position, but it's a menace for today, and we can show it and explain it to people. Everywhere, extreme weather events are intensifying. And it is true here in America, it is true in Europe, it is true in Asia, everywhere. And we must, obviously there is a growing awareness, but let's not fool ourselves. We have a margin for new progress and new action, and we have to explain to people by concrete examples, first, that it is for now, and second, that if we want to tackle the problem, it doesn't need only constraints, but it can be positive. It can be positive. Because if you explain to people that it will be new constraints, it's difficult to convince them. If we explain to people that it can be positive, the reaction is different. You know perfectly that what is at stake is decisive. Not only because if we let emissions grow, catastrophic climate change will accelerate, but also because the consequences on biodiversity, agriculture, migrations, therefore wars, water resources, international security will be at stake. And this is the reason why my president asked me as Minister of Foreign Affairs and not Minister of Environment to be able to chair that. If we don't do what we have to do, it will wreck our economies and the single promise of development in emerging and developing countries. Therefore, all of us, we need to act now and reach an ambitious and universal agreement that puts the right tracks to limit average global temperature growth below a 2 degrees Celsius limit. Is it possible? My conviction is the answer is yes. It is yes for many reasons, but particularly, and I understand that John Kerry has touched this point, because the two largest emitters, the US and China, have made significant moves since Copenhagen. I think, and I'm sure that President Obama, John Kerry, and a series of governmental bodies are really dedicated to this. And so far as our Chinese partners are concerned, I'm sure that they fully understand that it's not only a question of environment, it's a question of social and political challenge, and for them as well, it's completely decisive. So far as the EU is concerned, we are working on a proposal building on the achievements of our carbon market, and we have to take decision this October. And we can have an influence only if we are able, but I think the chances are high, to take these decisions. Other countries are taking action. There is a shift in perception. Many countries are seeing the effects of climate disruption, and many in different countries realize that green growth is now a condition of development. And personally, like yourselves, I'm looking forward to the announcements that may be and should be delivered tomorrow when we meet with different government authority and with private sector representatives at the timely summit convened by our friend, the UN Secretary General. And these announcements are necessary to complement government's commitments and build a very large coalition of governments, non-state actors, and citizens for climate action. Everyone before me has said anecdotes about the march yesterday and the demonstration. It is true that, so far as I'm concerned, it's a long time that I have not been part and parcel of a demonstration, because usually demonstrations are against government, and as I'm in government, it's a bit difficult. But what struck me is that it was not a demonstration against something. It was a demonstration for a new world, and is the reason why it was so impressive. Now, a few quick words after our Peruvian friends about what we are trying to build in Paris. I would like to call this Paris Alliance for Climate, because our expectation is that we can get together 4 pillars. The first one, which will be very, very difficult, but it's decisive, is to reach a universal legal agreement setting our common goal and the main rules, especially a joint monitoring mechanism to ensure transparency and implementation of our commitments. We have to have a legal agreement, otherwise it will be words and there will be no confidence. Therefore, the first element will be a universal legal agreement. The second thing will be national commitments. In the Warsaw Conference a few months ago, it was decided that every single country must deliver its national commitments before next March. And it's very important that all these national commitments could be delivered, because when we add these commitments, at that time, it begins to become concrete. The third element, and obviously you are very decisive for this sector as well, is to have a financial and technology package to help the proposals to be concrete, and particularly the most vulnerable, and accelerate the energy transition. We have to focus on this both financial and technology package, I'm pretty confident, even if the figures are very high, but it is decisive that we are able to fulfill that commitment. And the fourth one, which relates to you and which is brand new, is to have commitments and initiative by the non-governmental actors. I mean cities, I mean regions, I mean companies, which would be quite innovative. And Paris Summit is the bunch of all that: legal agreement, national commitment, financial and technology package, and non-governmental commitments and initiatives. And France will spare no effort to help delivering this possible, hopeful Paris alliance. Now, I encourage business leaders to further engage and develop innovative solutions to tackle altogether climate disruption and poverty. Because I am convinced, like you are, that it is only together we can make the low-carbon economy a reality. We can repeat what has been said by Ban Ki-moon. There is no plan B, because there is no planet B. And it must be a motto, because it's very, very strong. And I would add that global mobilization against climate disruption shall not stop at the end of this week. From now on, we must act in such a way that every week should be a climate week. Thank you.